Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So, breakdown, we're gonna do a little bit of an introduction to AMA and marketing fundamentals. So basically a crash course of marketing. You don't have to take 3650 with whatever professor. We're gonna tell you it all. We're gonna talk about marketing strategies, so like hands-on things that you can do as an org, and campus resources, the ones that we use the most, because Student Activities and the union has a lot to offer. And then finally we have 3 mini activities for y'all. Depending on time, we'll see how long that they take, but if you have to leave early, we can give you some of the take-homes. Yeah, so, okay. Hello, we are the American Marketing Association. We are the only marketing association on campus and represent the College of Business as well as other professional organizations. And we are part of a national association, so there are 76 national levels, like DFW is a city hub, but then there are over 300 collegiate chapters, and we just came back from a conference in New Orleans where everyone gathered together. So a lot is happening in AMA. But our mission is to develop sound thinking and marketing principles, encourage career development in the business sector, and promote networks among students, faculty, and business professionals. So thank you for coming and being a part of our mission. And all of that can be condensed into our 5 pillars, which are marketing, professional development, networking, leadership, and community service. And that is AMA in a slide. So, what is the value of marketing? Seth Godin, don't ask me what company he represents, but he says, the secret to marketing success is no secret at all. Word of mouth is all that matters. And so, I don't know about y'all, but when we are recruiting, we really focus on word of mouth. And it has taken us from an organization that had less than 15 members on a Zoom screen, all the way to 70 members in person this year. Excuse me. So we've experienced a lot of growth, and whenever we do surveys, it's because people bring a friend, they heard someone speak in front of their class, but it's really someone personally inviting you, and that is the secret to marketing. So,
okay, so let's get into it. So we're going to talk about the 4 Ps, and the 4 Ps is basically like your base for marketing and how you're going to put your organization out there. The first P is product, which is what is your service, or like what are you selling to people. The second P is price, so how much is that going to be. Place is the third one, and that's where your product or service is going to be sold or given, hosted. And then the fourth one is promotion, and that's how exactly are you going to advertise your product or service. Okay, so we're going to apply this to our organization. So your product for your org is obviously the organization. You're trying to get people to come and join your organization. The price for us in AMA, we have membership dues. There might be some type of like monetized value that you might require from members, and if that's not the case, I would say maybe like time commitment might be something you want to consider, in case, you know, it might take a lot of time out of someone's free time. Place is where is your organization meeting, where can people find your organization, is that on campus, is it off campus, how are they going to get there, things like that. And then promotion is where do you promote your organization? Is that social media? Are you guys heavy on Twitter? Are you guys heavy on Instagram? Tabling events at like all the UNT events we have here. OrgSync, do you want members to join through OrgSync? And I think it's like a little, you know, they request and you can see the notifications. Or flyers on campus. There's always flyers on campus about a bunch of things going on. Do you want members to see that? There's different ways you can promote your organization. So here's like a little breakdown of each one. For AMA, like Hannah just mentioned, we are a national chapter, like a professional national chapter, and there's so many of us across the nation. So for me personally, like when I hear professional, I think very like strict, like business, work, no fun outside of that. But with UNT's chapter, we try our best to create like a really fun and open environment. We don't want anyone to ever feel intimidated when they come to our meetings. It's always hands-on. We encourage members to interact with each other. We have socials and things outside of AMA, and I think that's like something we value most. So while we are like implementing our pillars and professionalism, we still want everyone to feel comfortable and safe where they are. With that, I think your product is something that when people see it, what do you want them to feel? Like when they see your social media account, is that, okay, like this is a very fun, bubbly org, they're very laid back, or is this like, you know, they're kind of strict, they expect certain things out of us, and things like that. So.
Hi everybody, my name is Lila. I'm the VP of Advertising here at AMA, and I'm going to be covering precisely that, which is advertising and how we tackle our advertising for our organization. So I want to ask you guys if y'all have heard of these two terms, new and traditional media. Have y'all heard of it? What is it?
I don't understand what it means, but I've heard the term.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm here to teach you. Perfect. Okay, so when we're referring to new and traditional media in regards to traditional media, that is more of an outbound type of marketing. So the organization, the business, is reaching out to prospective clients, or in this case, prospective members, and putting themselves out there. Now, back in the day, marketing was done through TV, radio, the printing press, books, newspaper, and although that is still being used today, and it is very effective, it's more of a static type of marketing, we also use new media. And for us, that means any kind of digital media like digital ads, social media, websites, and that also proves to be very successful in our marketing. However, both of these at least we follow a very clear format, which is, at least in the visual portion, is when you're doing a poster, when you're doing an Instagram ad, anything that's visual, you really want to call that attention to your organization. So on poster, who, what, when, where, how. So you want that to be big, bold, and bright, and kind of in your face, because say if you have a lawn sign, someone's walking past a lawn sign, they're not going to take 20, 30 seconds to microanalyze your poster and trying to figure out what's happening, when it's happening. They're going to walk right past it. Same thing if they're scrolling through Instagram, they see a post that doesn't really call their attention, they're going to scroll right past it. So what you want is to at least have a place in people's minds, which is you know, a foundation of marketing. Just if they read that word, even if they don't stop entirely to read it, you want to keep a place in their minds so that they can recognize you as an organization. Speaking of which, you also want to include your logo in everything. You want people to be able to connect whatever event you're hosting or whatever you're doing as an organization to that logo, so they have more of a visual connection to that. So watermark your posts, watermark your posters. Obviously, you want to promote yourself as an organization, so that's very important. And add contact information. Phone number, email, very essential. But you also want to tag your social media if you have any, and I really suggest you do build your social media presence, because even after the person seeks you out to receive more information, you might still get a follow, a like, you get a little bit of engagement out of that, so that's always helpful. I want to cover a little bit on this portion, which is what I call like funny advertising, silly advertising. And a lot of companies try to tackle this, and sometimes they don't succeed because they don't really scope out their target audience or the age bracket that they're trying to appeal to. But if you do it correctly, if you really analyze the age bracket that you're trying to appeal to, that type of humor, you might get some really funny, relatable content that people are going to want to share. And not just that, but it also gives your organization more of a friendly, approachable look. So we recommend doing that. We do it with our TikToks, and people really like those. So.
Okay, so next is the marketing funnel. So, I have my little notes here, but essentially the marketing funnel is a representation of the journey that your consumer or potential members takes from awareness of your organization to being advocates of your organization. And the benefit of analyzing your marketing funnel is essentially you can create strategies to get people who are aware of your organization to becoming advocates. So For example, if you look at all the steps, so we start with awareness, someone recognizing the name of your organization. And you can use the 4 Ps that we talked about earlier, like how would you use the 4 Ps to get someone from awareness to interest to consideration to action to loyalty to advocacy. So it kind of ties together. Look at your 4 Ps, identify those, how can you customize those to get each step to the next. So how would you get someone from awareness, recognizing the name of your organization, to turning into interest, coming to a meeting? How would you turn that into considering paying the dues and turn that into action, which is becoming a member? How would you make them loyal, which means coming to your to all your meetings? And how would you turn that loyalty into advocacy? I feel like that last part is the hardest part, because you can convince someone to come to your meetings, but to make someone an advocate of your organization is just like extremely beneficial, because if someone's advocating for your organization, that means that they themselves will go out and seek out people to come to your organization, and they'll bring opportunities. So something that happened to us is recently got an opportunity to do a collaboration with Fenty Beauty, which was brought to us by one of our members who I would consider an advocate. So it's like if you have advocates for your organization, they themselves will bring more opportunities for you without you having to seek it out. And yeah, that's all for the marketing funnel.
I have a question on that last page. Can we go back to it?
Yeah.
So where it says your goal should make members feel part of your organization. My name is Reagan Weaver, by the way. I'm the president of Logistics and Supply Chain. I talked to Lauren on the phone. That was you. Yeah. So, and I was wondering, like, how do y'all do that for y'all's example? I want to know some examples of how to do that.
No, it was like a lot of
Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot of things. First of all of our board members become advocates for our organization, and I feel like this is standard across all student organizations, but we'll go into this a little further. We reach out to marketing professors directly and ask to speak in front of their classes. So B, for example, as VP membership, goes out to the classes, advocates for the org, and then you can see like 4 or 5 people from the class come to the next meeting. And that's just like a face-to-face connection that they make. But also, people become advocates just by being excited for the organization. They're like, oh, I really want to go to this meeting, but I don't want to go alone, so let me just like bring my friend to come with me. Or they become involved in our committees, and they're like, oh, I really want to get into graphic design and advertising, so I'm going to join the advertisement committee. I make posts for them, and then every time AMA posts, I repost that post onto my own personal Instagram story because I made it and I got involved and I'm excited to share. So it's really just like giving power back to your members and making them like excited to come.
Thank you.
Yes, Laura?
I would definitely say, like, make your members feel like they have an impact on your organization, whether that be like after meeting, getting their opinion on what they thought, what they think you should do meetings on. And for example, the committees, we allow members to like move in between committees. They don't have to stay in one. If they have, for example, we have the advertisement, but we also have like finance committee. If they're in the advertisement, they can go to the finance committee meetings and give their input on whatever they want. So it's really just making your members feel like they're not just coming and watching a meeting, but they have an effect and their opinion matters.
Do you ever invite the members to officer meetings?
Honestly, no. But we do get their opinions other ways. We do polls, or we just talk to them. We also have socials outside of meetings that have nothing to do with like informational stuff. It's just opportunities for people to make friends. Yeah, that's what I would say about that.
Thank you.
All right, so they're going to go in a little bit more into depth of the marketing strategy. Essentially, you know, in the grand scheme of things, marketing, you want to really learn what your consumer base is, in this case, what kind of members you want to attract to your organization. And once you learn about that, you want to develop a very distinct and sustainable competitive advantage, you know, so that people actually want to join your org. And we do this through 5 steps, which is analyzing your goals, setting your target audience, scoping out your competitors, forming an analysis, and then at the end, evaluate how those goals came together. So we're going to get a little bit more in depth with this one.
Thank you. Okay, so the first step in trying to come up with your marketing strategy is to set goals and set goals that work for you. Because if the board is just doing what they think is best, but it's not really aligning back to your organization's mission, or it's not serving their target audience correctly, then there's a lack of purpose in what you're trying to do and what you're spending your time on. And so there's just this general system about setting SMART goals, so ones that are very specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. Have you heard of that before, setting SMART goals? Okay. So some of the goals that the board does is, I'm Hannah, hello, I'm the president of the org, and at the beginning of actually the spring semester, once they're newly elected to the board, I have each one of the board members set their own personal goal for the year, and just by one person having their purpose, they add impact to the organization. So for example, my goal as president was to create systems that can support the board and sustain AMA's growth. And that is in a various amount of ways, like making sure officer transitions and shadowing is set in place, like using Google Forms, or just having clear communication lines and how we send text messages between the groups. And then another one of AMA's goals is to foster a learning environment where everyone feels welcomed. For example, we have our VP of Advancement. Theirs was host at least one guest speaker a month, and that already hits two of our pillars, professional development and networking. Our membership our operations had established a point system. Our membership had grown our organization by at least 50% this year, and our programming, Laura, had make aesthetic and informative slides each week. So you can see in bold, they have the time relation, and it's something that happens either each week, each month, each semester. So they're really being held accountable and being put on track. And in this way, we have 7 board members on the AMA Executive Board, and each one is doing their own thing to advance the organization.
Okay, so the next aspect of marketing strategy I'm here to discuss is finding your target audience. And of course, your target audience is who you want to join your org, or who you're trying to market your org towards. So all of you guys have 3 types of target audiences, as well as AMA. So starting really specific, we have primary, which is marketing majors and minors, which goes up to be a bit more broad, with secondary, which includes business majors and minors, and then tertiary is anyone interested in marketing. And so for you guys, it would basically just be like anyone who wants to join your org or is interested in what you represent, your values, things like that. And so ways that AMA goes out to find our target audience would be, like Hannah said, talking to marketing classes, emailing marketing professors, tabling in the union, and tabling at orientations as well.
Hello, I'm gonna step on that side. Hello everyone, Barbara Lamont, I'm the Vice President. I'm gonna talk about competitors. So, look at it as a healthy competition with the other organizations. You guys are not the only organization that does the thing you do. For example, in AMA, we are the only marketing organization, but we are not the only business organization on the BLP. So it's a really great way to identify who are your competitors, what are they doing good, what can work for your organization. That's the things that we've actually been doing for a long time, and it's working. And we make connections with them, and they get to do the same things that we do. Like if we have a great idea, we share it with them, and it's also a good way to share with our members because they build more connections, they build other relationships with other business professionals. So for example, we have collaborated with DSP. DSP is a co-educational business fraternity here in UNT. They have a lot of time, UNT, like way longer than us, having like a huge amount of members. They do things differently. So it was a great opportunity to collaborate with them for both business organizations to network and share ideas. We usually do socials with them, like tailgatings, fun socials, so everyone gets to meet each other. We collaborate with APO. APO is as well a co-educational fraternity, but they do community service. Now, how does that work? Well, we do community service as well because we're interested for each business professional to actually have that aspect on their resume. It was a great way to collaborate with them, safe tailgating, and all that. We have women in business, amazing women, absolutely great professionals, and they actually teach us a lot on the values of women supporting women, women uplifting women, for them to share those values with us is very fulfilling and is something that makes our organization grow. As well as AdCloud, we have collaborated with them. We actually did something recently that they have an agency and they share that agency opportunity that our members can fulfill their internship credits just by joining their agency, which is amazing. And we also have collaborated with the nonprofit leadership Student Association, like my friend right there. We collaborate doing Rise Against Hunger. It was a big community service activity and we actually made it possible thanks to their support. Here are some ideas that we have stolen. We don't actually steal because there is room for everyone and there is room for everyone to learn. We had the mentorship program that we actually took the idea from the Honors College. In our mentorship program, we actually give the opportunity to those upcoming members to ask questions, to have other opportunities in their career. We have fundraising bingo. We took it from social media. We don't know where that came from. It was just on social media. We took it and we make it better. Everything that you take for your organization, you actually have to improve it. You take things to improve it on your org. You don't take things just because you want to. You always have to make it better. Icebreakers, a lot of us actually are part of all the organizations, not just AMA. Most of us are officers, but we actually take part of a lot of organizations that we bring the icebreakers and the activities that we think they're pretty cool, and we actually share with all of you so everyone has the opportunity to learn new things. Visual boarding, we did that recently with AdClub. Actually, Women in Business did it at the beginning of the semester, which visual boarding for themselves. But we took a term to it, so we did a vision boarding and how can we rebrand the agency, the advertising agency that AdClub has, which was a really fun idea. We learn more about advertisement, we learn more about these opportunities that AdClub has to share with us, and we actually get to do a fun activity as well with our organization. But yeah, always learn from your competitors, and this is a healthy competition, guys.
Okay, so our next part of the marketing strategy is learning from your users. You can do all this planning and marketing and have members not feel satisfied with what you're producing for your organization. So here we have it kind of split into two. For the board, you want to make sure that you're checking in and making sure your board members are okay, because it can be a lot to run an organization, and it can be really draining, especially like Barb said, a lot of us are in other organizations, and then of course school. So making sure you're doing those check-ins and making sure that everyone's okay is priority. Hannah does amazing with that with us. I feel like we wouldn't be able to be where we are today without those check-ins. So very thankful for that. And then of course from your members, getting continuous feedback, what they like, what they don't like, making sure you're communicating with them. My favorite is actually creating our end of the semester surveys. So for us personally, we put down every single event and meeting we've had that semester, and we have members just give us feedback, pick maybe their top 3 or top 5 events that they enjoyed, and tell us what they want to see for the next semester to come. This really helps because, like I said, you put on events thinking, oh, this is going to be great, but some members might not enjoy that. Some of the events that we thought might have been the best were probably some of our worst ones, according to members. So you always want to make sure that you're just checking in with them and letting them have, I guess, control as to what they get to do within the organization. And then, of course, tracking your engagement. So what members are constantly coming in. You can even ask them what makes you constantly come back to AMA or whatever organization you're representing. Their social media, are they reposting your post? Are they commenting, liking, things like that? That's also really important, just to see they care about your organization and they want to continue to see it grow and have others come in as well.
Just to add real quick, learning from your users. So Dee described really well about how we're getting continuous feedback from our members, because that is who you want to target. But just speaking from a leadership perspective of the board, I'm sure everyone can relate to the fact that running a student organization is very overwhelming sometimes, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this alone. It all comes and hits you all at once. And so and this is like a workshop, you can look it up on your own time, but it's called Rose, Thorn, Bud. Has anyone heard of it? Yeah? Yeah, nice. Okay, so we did this mid-semester in the fall, and basically it's Rose is you list out all of the things that you're doing really well and your accomplishments and your successes. Thorns are things that you could be improving on, so weaknesses, and then buds are opportunities for improvement and what you can do better. And this was really good for our fall semester. The beginning of the year is just crazy, and so things just like hit and they come all at once. And so doing some sort of workshop and getting feedback from the board was allowing us to be like, hey, we should start planning things a lot sooner than we have been, or we need to work better on maybe communicating what events are coming up to our members. And so that kind of evaluation like helps everyone's general wellness, but also helps your members at the end of the day.
Okay, so increasing your growth. So obviously the whole point of this is to get more members, improve your organization. And one of the biggest ways that we prepare for all of our goals and maybe the rosebuds and thorns that we talked about before is using like summer and winter breaks to prepare for the upcoming semester. This helps a lot. You know, you do elections the semester before, so everyone knows the positions they're coming into. And so asking everyone to like outline their goals, think of what they want to do that upcoming semester, start thinking about it, maybe planning ahead, is extremely useful. So yeah, brainstorm next ideas for the next semester. Me as the vice president of programming, you know, in the winter semester I thought about, okay, I want to do one social per month, like what are those things going to be? Taking those to Hannah to, you know, get looked over. We also created our website in the summer, so we assigned one page to each board member. And also creating just the general vision. So use the off time, even though like you should take a break, also use it to your advantage because it takes away the load that's going to come during the upcoming semester with all your classes. And then some outreach ideas that you can use is, for example, OrgSync, of course. Summer orientations are also really useful. You know, they have a lot of freshmen and transfer students coming in that might not know anyone, so just giving them like a friendly face, you know, giving them positive connotation to your organization is really great. Also Mean Green Flings, you know, get one of them freshmen. You can also email professors to send out to their students, speak to relevant classes, ask members to invite a friend. Of course, word of mouth is extremely important. And also create social media that can be reposted. And there's a bunch of more ways to, you know, get potential members that you can think of, but one thing that I would like to emphasize is do not make your users struggle, or basically make information extremely useful to find. Like Lila said earlier, make sure that the phone number is on everything, make sure that your logo is there. You want to make sure that people don't want to have to struggle to be in your organization. You want everything to make sense, have all the information that they need available, bold those meeting days, names, anything that you can. You just want people to not have to struggle to be in your organization. The harder they have to work, the less likely they are to show up, so make sure that it's easy, you know. And every social media, maybe make a link tree with like all the relevant information and put that in the social media, or link your website on everything. Just make sure that everything is easy to understand.
Question.
So what about the OrgSync thing? Like, do y'all get y'all's members to go through OrgSync, or do y'all reach out, do y'all send y'all's emails to the student so they just have to accept it?
Ooh, okay, I'm gonna start and then B can take over. But when we say OrgSync, I don't know if everyone gets those emails that is like, this person has expressed interest in blank. Okay, cool. So based off those emails, we can see that people are looking up marketing or looking up our organization and finding it on OrgSync. So our OrgSync profile has the history of AMA, it has links to our website, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and thus our GroupMe. And so that is what Laura was talking about making information easy to access. Just on our OrgSync page, they can find out almost everything about us, or go to a page where they can't find everything about us. And then based off those emails or VP membership,
Okay, so like Hannah said, like it has a general kind of understanding of AMA because obviously they're on OrgSync looking for a marketing org. I'll go through and I'll send out emails, kind of like an onboarding type of email, giving them a little more detail as to who we are, where our meetings are, how they can find us, and I'll actually give them the link to our group me so they can join the group me and receive updates and anything else they might want to know from there.
Okay, check in. Are we all learning? Are we all enjoying this? Cool. Okay. And now, in a little homage to the student activities part, UNT actually has a lot to offer as a student organization. I don't know if this information is new to everyone, but we really use these resources to the best of our advantage. And I'm just going to go through and talk about all of them. So the first one, we've mentioned OrgSync already. Just people look up things on there and they find you. So I'm sure people are looking up engineering, they're looking up nonprofit. I don't know if anyone's looking up tea, but they could be. And also the UNT Student Activities website is just a hub for all of the other resources that are available. The union tabling solicitation form. Has anyone tried tabling in the union? Yeah? Okay, nice, almost everyone. It's really easy. You just Google the form and email it in. Laura does it all for us. And then we just talk to people in the union and get them to come. The Union Digital Signage Network. So these are the big screens in the union. Those are free to student organizations, as long as they are not specifically towards your recruitment or your meetings. Those are for like bigger events that are open to all of the UNT general body. So for example, we use the Union Digital Signage Network to advertise our Rise Against Hunger community service event, which was open to all UNT students. And we got, yes, question?
Oh, I guess piggybacking on exactly what you just mentioned there, is an extra question I'm getting from my team.
Okay.
We have an event that's coming up on April 22nd, and it's in regards to our unveiling to the whole campus of our new car. And we want to know how to actually put ourselves through those digital signs in the union to really get people to know about it happening on that Saturday.
Yeah, okay, so I think I should preface that anytime you use a UNT resource, you should do it weeks in advance because it takes a bit of time. And so what we do is we create a poster, like Vio's really good at this, but I'll just text her, hey, can you make this poster for me on Canva? And then she will create a digital ad for us. If you look up that exact phrase, it will tell you all of the requirements, like pixel by pixel. And so you can edit, we use Canva, I'm just gonna keep talking about Canva. You can edit the pixel size of your work area to the exact pixels that they want. Add all of the information on there, save it as like a PNG, a JPEG, whatever, and then you email it to an email that will be on that webpage. I think it's something like designworks@unt.edu with a union in there. And if you just give them the ad, they'll respond to you and be like, oh yeah, we can throw it up there for like 1 or 2 weeks for free. But if they don't answer you, you need to be like, hey, did you get my email? Because, I don't know, things get lost.
But everything would go through that into the emailing coordination.
Yep. Yes.
So you said weeks in advance, so you know, like we're trying to get our events now on the business like leadership level, and I've done it months in advance, and I have yet to get into the business leadership level. And I don't know how to get in, and I don't know who's approving our stuff, but I have to figure out how to do that. I don't know if y'all have any luck with that.
So I am personally, this is being recorded, but I like to stay on top of things. And so if I don't get a response, I'll email back and be like, hey, I know it's been a few days or it's been a week, I'm just checking in on the status of blank. And just give them a reminder, because emails can get lost. Like, I get lost emails. But if that doesn't work and email doesn't work, sometimes I'll just call them and find a phone number and be like, hey, Dean of the College of Business, I have a question, who can you direct me towards? And then I will go through the UNT bureaucracy of finding who I should talk to. And then once I figure out who I should talk to, I go to them in person and be like, hi, I have to do this. So it takes a little bit of extra work. You can't always rely on an email or that first step. It's really about like making your presence known and making yourself available to the person you're trying to find. Yes.
It's not really a question, it's more like just because of what we're talking about. I know from my org, in scheduling like where to have our event, if we do like applying online, because there's actually a form on OrgSync. If that doesn't work out, we just even go in person. So it's like student activities over there. You're basically the ones who assign like rooms and whatever. So you can find out that hey, they seem to be, I don't know, kind of taking their time. We just go over there and be like, okay, we have this concern, we have this event, and they usually like get onto it. And for design works as well, whenever email is not working out and we have an event we want to promote, we just go to their office. Their office is like in downstairs, so it's like we just go to design works downstairs and we're like, look, we have this concern, and once they see like your face and everything, they're like, okay, we're sorry, we're sorry, we're gonna get on it, and everything usually just works itself out after that. So I would say going first and just going slow and like,
What organization are you for?
mini computing.
Hello, so my name is Eric Romero. I'm actually work for Student Activities in this. So in my office is the one who pretty much does event applications and stuff. So like we said, it can take 15 business days for bigger events and like 5 business days for regular events. And we're going through and getting a lot of different pretty much event applications every day. So we're trying to get everyone as best we can in the place. But let's say someone else, like you want something in a business building, they might not be able to be there because other organizations already got it at the beginning of the semester, like they already pretty much filled it up, and then there's other classes, so that's why. So we try to put you as best we can in each spot. So.
Thank you.
I had something to say and then I forgot, so I'm going to keep going. But DesignWorks, we've already mentioned DesignWorks. They're such a cool resource. They do all of the printing and advertising of the union. And that is where we get lawn signs printed out. So those are the ones that you see lined up all over campus. They're relatively cheap as well. As long as you have a design, they'll do it for you. Willis Library, this is just web print. There's free printing. You can print a lot using Willis Library. And so we'll print out like flyers on a 4x4 and cut them up using a paper cutter if you request, so you're not using scissors for 100 flyers. And then we'll pass this out. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. On social media, if you tag important UNT Instagram accounts, they may or may not repost your post, just so you know. So like when we were doing this guest speaker event, we reached out to the UNT First Generation Success Center because the guest speaker was a first generation student, and they said, yeah, of course, we'll repost that for you. Moving on, so collaborating with other organizations, this is just increasing the amount of people who know about you. You automatically get their entire organization knowing about you, and then you guys can work together to repost each other, plan things, etc. SGA's Eagle Nest Fund, so this is for, again, any event open to the UNT public. You can get funding, it entirely funded. You just need to make sure to do it, again, weeks in advance. There's also the Route Travel Grant Fund, which is for conferences, if you have any of those. We've used that last year. Eagle Awards? Question.
Do you have a question? So the travel grant, I didn't know anything about that, but there's a lot of logistics and supply chain conferences around the United States. Like, what does that intake? Like, do they pay for everything? Food? Airplane?
So there are resource meetings that are usually towards the beginning of the semester. Sometimes there's one over winter break, but you basically go to the resource meeting, it's an hour, and then they tell you everything you need to know about the grant. So it's usually like for the route travel grant, you need an exact budget of how much you're spending, how many members are going, etc. And then you do a presentation in front of the committee and they'll either approve or deny you for the funding. The logistics of that are very complicated, but if you go to the resource meeting, they'll tell you all about it. But in order to apply, you have to go to a resource meeting and then you fill out the form in OrgSync. Yes.
Just so we use the route travel grant every year for our national conference in the fall. I would recommend applying as early as possible because there's a finite amount of money they have. And we've had sometimes in the past, they may completely 100% accept, they may completely 100% deny. We've had other times where they're like, oh, we'll just fund like the officers that are going and like have them covered, we have them covered through cost for the members so they wouldn't have to cover as much. So sometimes they'll do like a partial coverage as well. It just depends on your presentation and how much you're asking. But I believe the total cap for one is $3,000.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What is that?
Society of Engineers.
Ooh, okay. And then, oh, I put it on the slide, UNT social medias, so what I mentioned earlier. Are there any other questions about like UNT resources and what we use? Cool, okay.
Which one of these has helped y'all the most?
What do y'all think?
I think the
Like all of them, honestly.
collaborating with orgs.
They all have different values, I would say.
Yeah, so Barb just said the Union Digital Signage to get people to know, collaborating. And
Design works, collaborating with orgs, OrgSync, like those are the most that we use, tabling. Those are the most that we use and the most that we get people to know about us.
yeah, one of our hero stories is we always table for fundraising events. So for Rise Against Hunger, we raise over $1,000 in a day just by being like, hey, do you want to donate? And they did.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes?
So another question I have is, how do you advertise, or besides the digital union, sorry, wrong question. How to reach, sorry, I read the same one. How to reach out to UNT activities, and UNT union for like Instagram and stuff? Because I think like it was just trying to ask like in collaboration, you're trying to kind of reach out to them in a sense. How does that go?
Story time. We submitted an Eagle's Nest grant for this event, and then Student Activities has to approve it, and they're like, don't go through SGA, go through us. And so they reached out to us directly about collaborating with them, and so the food is sponsored by Student Activities through that way. So it could just be letting them know that the event is happening, and they might be like, oh, this is something that's interesting. But also, we direct message people on Instagram. So if it's like UNT Student Activities, SGA, we've DM'd some of y'all to come. It's just like, if you want to reach out to people on Instagram, then use Instagram to reach out.
I got something to add to that, man. There's a there's a UNT Ryan College Business Instagram. They have Facebook, they have LinkedIn, and then there's a UNT just regular one too. UNT has like 66,000 followers or something. And I'll always tag them in the posts, and like I know the people who are in charge of the account now because I've been tagging them so much. Kennedy Thompson, if you want to remember her name, and she's in charge of the news articles too that go to the UNT program. And if you're trying to get out there, then I would definitely reach out to those guys.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Go UNT.
I don't know what happened. Yeah. It's not working. Yeah, actually, Kennedy, she's awesome. She made an article on AMA, like, how long ago? Like some weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. She is pretty great. I think you guys should tag, like, my friends are right there. Sorry. Tag UNT, tag the College of Business or your college. We do it all the time. Sometimes they reply, sometimes they share, sometimes they no, but you know, it worth a shot. Okay, so things to remember before we move on. So plan to impress. We write down, give people a reason to come to your meetings. We usually have like our guest speakers, they love it because we bring an opportunity to them. We actually bring the guest speakers, they bring scholarships, they bring internships, and they get excited and they actually get to talk with those people that are already in the professional world. We're actually pretty cool and we always impress people, you know, just like right now. Streamline operations, create a go-to formula. So we write like kind of an example, social media plus posters plus tabling, I'll say equals success. You gotta do what works for you. Maybe tabling doesn't work for you for some way. Everyone works different. And I believe that's why we always have to understand what works and what doesn't work with rosebuds and thorns. But yeah, find out always what works for you. But for us, it's definitely like digital marketing, tabling, talking to people, but that's on the business side. Create metrics. Begin to understand what is working and not to prioritize your time. Like we say, rose, thorns, and buds, we do like an entire day to actually talk about what actually is working, what doesn't work, throw it away, sadly it doesn't work, or improve it, you never know. But always focus on what is actually working and what can drive you to the next level. Persist in the green, deliver consistent outputs that are worth your time. Like we say, focus on what is working, what works for you, and focus on something that will bring your organization and yourself to success and your members. But yeah, so get ready, it's time for activities.
Okay, we're done talking to you. It's your turn now to apply everything that we've learned. So, can I have help passing these out, please?
Before we do that, can I say something
Yes.
real quick?
Yeah.
So I don't know if any of y'all are business like oriented organizations, but we're trying to throw a career fair through our organization. I don't know if you know it, but you know, like you have to do like philanthropy sometimes, so we'll raise money for your organization. And so when they had a career fair at the business school, my brother works at a company, and it doesn't matter, BNSF, and they charged, or UNT made companies pay them $600 per person a year. And so I want to have a career fair through the business school, and I've talked with both the deans, and we're going to have a meeting with them, and we're trying to have it in the fall of next semester. And so I'm trying to reach out with these people, as many organizations as I can, to, you know, one, network, do good, and then two, you know, we need as many people as we can to attend, and whoever helps us throw, all the organizations that throw, you know, we'll charge all these companies $400 a person to be here. Instead of $600, they all want to come, and then we can split the money up through the organizations. I don't know if anyone here is, that wants to be a part of that as well. If you're engineering, you know, these businesses for logistics and supply chain, if you're not familiar with that field, they're, you know, in that field, they need a marketing, they need business analytics, they need all of it. There's a whole wide variety, even though it says logistics and supply chain. So I wanted to get it out there.
That's how you go reach your target audience right there.
And collaborate with other.
Okay, so we have 3 activities planned in about an hour or so. We probably won't go all the way to the hour, but this is just time to apply everything that we've talked about and get you started with your thinking hats. For the people who represent multiple orgs, just pick one. Pick the one that needs the most effort. But the 3 of them are applying to marketing strategy, so we're going to go through a SWOT analysis, which is in front of you right now. The second one is all about branding. This one is a lot of fun that Brooklyn helped with. It's imagine your organization. Oh, maybe I shouldn't spoil it. Okay, branding. Yes. And then the third one is a little bit about graphic design in Canva, how we use the free software to build our designs, and also designs do's and don'ts. So to start with marketing strategy.
There's a slide.
Or we can pass it out.
Oh yeah, we can pass it out. Show and tell.
Show and tell.
They can see it also right here.
Oh.
Oh, it is up there.
Okay, sorry. So for this activity, we're gonna consider, like, you're doing a SWOT analysis. So basically, as is the strength, you have to consider your organization's strengths. What are y'all good at? What are y'all being successful at, as far as you know? W is a weakness. What are some possible challenges that you might come across? You know, you've learned a lot of new content today. So what are some things that might be a challenge, like as you come across and using all these new techniques you've learned? your opportunities, consider trends or potential areas that your organization could grow. So where within these new tactics, these new skills that you've learned, where do you think that your org is going to flourish? And
Keep going.
Thank you. Where do you think your organization is going to flourish within all the new things you've learned? And then some threats. So like something we have like money issues. You know, money is a big thing, and like having very little funding can be a very, very hard task. So how are you gonna like navigate that? How are you gonna get to other businesses, other organizations, and things like that?
Can I add something about the SWOT analysis? Yeah. I would say for the SWOT analysis, it's something that you can reference like bi-monthly, like every semester. And every semester you can kind of redo it to reassess and make new goals for yourself to continue to grow your org. So like especially for like your weaknesses, hopefully like, you know, you'll do it one semester, and by the end of that semester for the next one, you can move some of your weaknesses and change them to your strengths. So by kind of like doing it periodically, you can help, how do I say it? Help grow your org by, you know, making everything more visual instead of kind of having to like keep track of it in your head, basically.
Tack on one more time. So this is the SWOT analysis that we did at the beginning of this year. And I'm just going to read the headlines or some of them, but there is a lot that happens within your org, so make sure to take a look at it holistically. So we included things like our board, our advisor, our recruitment strategies. Opportunities that we really focused on were like corporate sponsorships or university collaborations. Some of our weaknesses, as I mentioned before, was scheduling ahead or officer transition used to not exist. And then threats, I feel like we're all gonna have the same threats, but we really focused on the people. So officer burnout, student burnout, and conflicting times. We're just gonna put on 10 minutes on the clock and see where y'all end up with.
I thought you were my teacher.
Money, haven't got that yet.
Okay, so Brooklyn is gonna lead us in the next activity.
Okay, so the next activity is more of like a branding type worksheet. So it's basically taking your org and putting it into perspective. So it's if your organization was a person, who would it be? So with this, we have 3 bullet points for this and then questions for you to answer for your org. So first we have is the mission statement, which is, try to see where I can see better, sorry. A mission statement is a short sentence that sums up and explains what your organization does, whom it serves, and what sets you apart from other organizations. So this is definitely something that you can have on your website, your social media. Basically, this is what kind of drives you as your organization. And then your slogan is just something cute to, you know, put on your flyers, in your bio, on your Instagram, stuff like that. Creating a slogan for your organization can create brand consistency and a small bond between you and your members, while also helping your brand get recognized through social media. So AMA's slogan is "Have an amazing day," but it's like this. So we close out each of our meetings with, you know, that cute little slogan. It kind of has like a little connection, I guess, community within us, because it's like, all right, let's take a picture, and then we just do it. It's just something cute to do. And then last are your pillars, or something that kind of, I said like your mission statement drives your organization, but your pillars do as well. It's kind of like what you represent. So for example, AMA's pillars would be marketing, professional development, networking, leadership, and community service. Well, y'all can read the rest of it, but I kind of took these things and then made them into these questions to kind of help y'all get started. And so basically, like, the goal of the activity is to kind of your brand, your org is kind of like a functioning person, like all, different your members, your people on your board or your counselor are kind of like the limbs. So, every small part makes your org function as like a person basically. And so you can have fun with this. We put a lot of like little things AMA represents. So like our opportunities we present our members with, scholarships, internships, networking, community service. We're diverse leadership. We're open to all majors, so things like that. Sorry, I don't think we have any markers for y'all, but I would say basically choose about like 3 colors to represent your org as your brand, and you can also take that, and Lila is going to talk about the Canva later for your social media, but kind of choose 3 colors to be consistent with throughout your org, so you can kind of like have that eye-catching type of thing. So yeah, this is our little AMA guy with our t-shirt on, so just have fun and make it look cute and represent your org through your gingerbread man.
Having a strong brand is super important because, like I said in the marketing funnel earlier, it just, even like taking someone from the first stage to the second of like awareness to interest, if you have a really strong brand, it'll stick in their head more. So you really want to have a really strong brand image of your organization.
10 minutes on the clock.
So this is like what we were kind of talking about, but I am a design major, and this is going to be my favorite part of the presentation. But we are going to do a really quick design crash course. So for this is like social media advertising. Lila will go into it a little bit more. Barb might speak on it too, but just some things is like how to actually create something that people want to read, but you can actually read as well. So just a few do's, like use colors that are on brand. That was a part of the worksheet. Use 2 to 3 fonts max. I don't know if anyone has seen flyers where they use every single pretty font possible and you're like, wow, that's a lot. Use 2 to 3 fonts max. Use easy to read fonts. I'll go into that a little further. And space out your text. So a big thing in design critiques is always give things breathing room. So you don't want to put text next to text next to text. You want to give it like space so your eyes can kind of process what's happening. And then a few don'ts. Don't use random colors. That will ruin your feed. I think it would break Lila's heart if you did that. Don't put text over hard to read images. I'll go over that in a bit. And like, don't put too much text on one post. So there's a thing, I'm going to use fancy vocab, called progressive disclosure. But it's basically like, if you want to tell someone how to apply for elections, you don't just put it all on the first slide. You go, how to apply for elections. This is what you need to know. Step 1, and you give it one at a time. So on the side here, just a little visual. Some people go into Canva and they're like, wow, there's so many pictures and they want to use it all. But in the top one, can you read this? No. And the second one, can you read this? Yeah, I would say so. The font's a little like, it's a little hard to read. But there is more color contrast. So like the background's dark, the text is white. And the third one, can you read this? Yeah. So it's an easy to read font. You're using color contrast. Yeah, that's a little bit of design. Moving on.
So on colors, I'm just gonna cover right here basically our aesthetics. So the first colors that you see, we're gonna call it the brand colors, are gonna be the national AMA colors. These are the ones that take the aesthetic of what is AMA. We use the green, not the green, the blue, the red, and white. I believe they usually use the blue and all that because it's a more professional feeling. In UNT AMA, we didn't want to use the same thing as the national. We wanted to kind of like differentiate ourselves or than the other chapters. And actually we use the UNT colors, not the exactly super loud green, but we kind of combine this. So the color that actually we use in our logo is the green in the middle with black, and the colors that we use all around our social media are gonna be like more brighter colors, a combination of darker colors with dark, with whites, and yes. So very important, use your colors to differentiate your brand within the other chapter, within the other organizations. Like I talked before, I know I have named a lot of women in business, but they actually have a great brand identity in their Instagram. If you see that their colors are like sage green, soft, girly, pink, so it's something that identifies them. But yeah.
Okay, and then the next slide is going to be about text. I took a class all about typography and text, but really quickly, did you notice how in the presentation we only use 2 to 3 consistent fonts? So basically, that's what you want to do in your posts. You might have a pretty font that you use as your heading, and then maybe a different one for your subheading, but your body copy, so any information that you want to include should be like an easy to read type font. And this is my pet peeve when I see UNT posts on Instagram, is the top one. This text is a headache to read because the lines are way too close together. That's what I was talking about when like giving your text breathing space. If you have a paragraph, you don't want to smoosh it all or else you can't read it. But then in Canva, Lila will show you how to change the line spacing, and then suddenly it's more easy to read because you give it that space. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know if people have their laptops, but if you would like to follow along with your laptops, we are going to be using Canva, just giving a quick crash course on how to use that by creating a post.
We really want to focus on a bright, very colorful, following our color theme kind of post. So we're starting off with a blank page. This is for a social media post, but we also do a lot of square pages, so you can just go right here and resize right into Instagram post. Okay, sorry. Yeah, right here. We usually do the square one, so you can copy and resize, and boom, you have a new size for your post. We also do this with like the digital ads. We, like Hannah said, you can specify how many pixels you want on it if you want to design something of the sort. And say for this one, we want to do a little recap post of today's meeting and today's workshop. I would usually go here to the post templates. They already have some pre-made templates by Canva, so I like to follow the green kind of feed, and we've been doing a lot of like green aura type of vibes, so you can choose from these. At times you can even change the color of the design itself. Sometimes it will allow you, sometimes it won't, but let's just look up a green template. Say we want to do So you want to work with this one. It's a pretty cool template. I'm going to need both hands, I'm sorry.
So she is now changing the font. She's going to write the new text, make sure that it's concise. You want to use the hierarchy that we mentioned before. So the biggest text is usually the most fancy text. You want the other text to be more simple.
Also, the feature that she did that she can resize, you can do that just with the pro version. So if you guys have like the money, or if you guys raise money, that will be a cool investment to do, because you just can do. You just cannot just resize things. You can also get like cool features, just like there are things. I don't believe like normal one has those features. So yeah, it's definitely a good investment for your art. It is so nice.
We use Canva for all of our ads, but also our slides, so it's a good investment for us.
Yeah, it's an amazing tool. Definitely 10 out of 10. Recommend.
Laura can show you more on the slides, like how to do a QR code, things like that.
Which are the presentations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These all the time.
I actually did a business presentation, and it was a big group, and it was all just business students. And so we were always all taught like Google Slides, Microsoft PowerPoint, and all that stuff. So everyone else's slides, they all like looked the same, like you've seen all the same templates before. And we were the only group that I recognized that we used Canva. And our professor even uses Canva, like he's like a business professional and he uses Canva too. And so like it doesn't really make sense for me to use any other software, especially for like presentations and stuff like that. It's a lot more intuitive.
So you can see she's making sure to add the logo to the post, very, very important. And you can create the several pages just in one thing, like several files with different screens, just one thing.
And this is just an example. Since we don't have the pictures of today uploaded yet, I'm just going to be using like these pictures. If you want to do a little recap.
That's all y'all are.
Yeah, that's all of us really y'all.
So cool.
The cool
I
thing
think that's ICC years ago.
You can position the pictures to. And that's actually it.
That's
So you know you have the freedom to position the pictures wherever you want, or something that I like to do. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm like taking an exam right now, and I'm figuring everything. I go here to elements, and it also gives you the option for. Oops, sorry. Yeah, the elements, the option for like making a picture collage. So if you want to keep things fun, you know, add this, and then you can insert the pictures in the back, kind of like that. This is all just an example. Like I don't even know if this is gonna go up on the Instagram yet, but yeah.
You should post exactly this.
I think so.
I'm gonna post it just like that.
A cool tip is we started taking pictures of our meetings this year, and it's really fun when members are like, oh my gosh, I'm in that picture, and then they'll repost and be like flexing that they made it onto their Instagram.
Always take pictures of everything. You don't know when it'll come into use.
So one of our members in the ad committee designed this really nice post, and I'm in love with this. She did an amazing job. She did an amazing job, so we can just kind of see all the elements that she implemented to make the post look a little bit more creative, more like a scrapbook. So all of these individual stickers that she added, she kind of wanted to give this scrapbook vibe, and she kind of like the ransom letters on the front. So you can do this by going right into elements, and you can add like, see like they have like the graphics right here. Go into here, see all.
Those are pros.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool.
That's why you had to invest on the pro feature.
And it's very clean, very straightforward. You can read everything very easily. And a lot of people really liked it, so we got a lot of reposts on this one. I can also show you another one that we made. For example, our countdown for today's workshop. I already had this template made. This is a Canva template. It had a solid colored background, but I just added a different picture by going here into uploads or elements actually, and you can look up just like people at a workshop or like a classroom. You add the picture in. You can also edit it, crop it. So what I did is that I put the brightness a little bit up, contrast down, so you can get a little bit more of like that fade effect, and then concentrated all the information in the center, added our logo on the top, and I did the same for these two posts. So we have a nice little countdown that matches with the feed. And yeah, speaking of this countdown, I wanted to keep the same vibe for the original post for the actual sold workshop. It should be this one, so that people can still recognize that kind of pattern. So that's what I wanted to do. It's just like, oh, I remember that pattern, I remember that template, so it's the countdown for that. Laura, she actually does all of our presentations for our AMA meetings in Canva, so if she wants to go a little bit more into depth in that, she does a great job with it. They always look very pretty, very aesthetic.
Thank you. Could you go to the folder for this semester? Yeah. And then spring. And then, which one is it? Oh, I want to go for women's history. Do you guys make presentations for your
Yeah.
what do you use?
Oh, Sweet, like the parent organization, they have their own templates and stuff, and we use those because it's got their colors, their fonts, and stuff like that, and their backgrounds and stuff.
Nice. Well, these are our slides. So this is one of my favorite slides that I've done. So obviously we have, you know, the big fancy title. We like to do spotlights right here. We take our attendance with QRs, and to make a QR, I haven't done it in a little bit, not gonna lie. I feel like every time I kind of just forget and then figure it out, so I'm not gonna lie about that. Apps. Yeah, oh yeah, and then you make a QR code, so you just use, and then you enter the URL. So for example, we have a Google form, we just insert it in here, and then it'll come up like in 2 seconds, so whenever you have members scan in or whatever, they can do that right there. But yeah, so we have the hierarchy. We like to do member highlights every meeting, just, you know, to make people feel appreciated if they helped us out, or, you know, we pick someone, get their major, fun fact, LinkedIn and Instagram. And then so you can see, you can kind of use the templates that Canva has as well as the graphics that they have and kind of create cool designs. And I feel like this really, it just captures people's attention, and if you have pretty slides to look at, like, they're gonna want to look at it, just like, you just admire it. You want to bolden important dates, so for example, it's on March 21st, I said first. You want to make sure that it's bolded. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. You just want to make sure, like, for example, here's our officer ones. We kept it simple, and then you go into each one. But yeah, it's honestly not that hard. You can also do animations, which just makes it look a lot nicer. So like, has this kind of nice vibe to it. Well, some of them are animated, others are not. But oh, okay, it animates that way. Yes, they are animated. I was like, no way I did that. But yeah, so you can add an animation, make it look really nice. Oh, escape. And to animate it, you just go on this top right corner, and then it'll give you like a bunch of options of how to animate your slides. I think that's a really nice detail to add, but yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Lila. Thank you, Laura. Did they learn something about Canva? Yeah? Nice? Okay. I guess the last slide. So that is all that we have for you in this little workshop about marketing your org. Thank you for staying the 2 hours. Woo!
I think the food helps with that. You're welcome to connect with us, take a look at what we're doing, but I want to launch it out to you. What was like the one takeaway that you're bringing out to your org after this workshop? Yes. Investing in Canva Premium. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Honestly, because you will be sharing the slides with the emails we sent, right? I'm just going to share that with our next advertising officer. It's very informative, and I feel like we would go a long way with. Because I was talking with you earlier. We have a problem with not just gaining members, but like retaining members. And I feel like this would go a long way in helping that.
Yeah, cool. So the entire presentation. Yes.
Basic stuff like how to get connected with UNT actually to advertise your
Yeah.
because we don't know anything.
Nice. UNT resources.
Oh. I think for me it's gonna be the SWOT analysis. I know I'm gonna go over this, especially stuff I put down with the officers of my org, and I would also ask them to create something like this so we can all compare what we have and then discuss about what we have.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be real helpful.
Nice. That's good to hear. The spot?
I'm coming over here.
Look, wait, advocacy, getting our members advocacy. Oh my god.
I felt that.
You got it.
Getting members to advocacy level, at like, was it marketing funnel? Marketing. I have notes here. It's like, what's the exact phrase? Like a funnel something? Marketing funnel, yes.
Yes.
So
Nice.
getting it to advocacy.
Yeah, okay. Jacob.
Probably the resources, because I like had an idea that they were there, but not really like how to use them or use them at all. And also probably the pillars to help like visualize like, what the org is for, like what it stands up on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you all. We're gonna end traditionally with our sign off. Who wants to lead it? Brooklyn's doing it.
All right, everybody stand up. So now that y'all are doing this, y'all are officially honorary AMA members. Woo! Okay, so this is the thing.
AMA.
Have an amen.